Callista actually has been banned by immunity twice.
Yeah, that has been the immunity ban.
On the blue side, no less.
Yeah, and the Chiefs, the Morgana ban was what came through there. But we'll see whether we are going to get a change this time around. Because, of course, you know, immunity, they need to change something. You may as well change the bans. Maybe ban Janna.
I mean, they play Callista, so they can look to first pick it. Sejuani is banned away. Look, Spooks, I believe, has played
Ryu
one
just
Sejuani
doesn't
game,
want Zahi to play that again. You think?
I don't think that's the case. That's a little bit harsh.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a bit mean.
I think Sejuani definitely wouldn't have been opted into. It doesn't feel like a Spooks champion. He's played it once, but he prefers the earlier presence of someone like Zac, who can be relevant at level 4. Now, the difference between Zac and Sejuani, you might say, okay, but they both don't do a lot of damage, and they're about, you know, kind of difficult to coordinate early ganks. The big difference, though, Zac can overextend for a gank, take some turret hits, and then has the passive, which, you know, for 5 minutes, the cooldown, he has to play much safer like a Sejuani, but when that passive is available, you can be so aggressive with your engages. And look, if you pick up the kill, or specifically if you keep up the passive, you can just continue that aggression until it's down.
Yeah, precisely. And now, of course, with the change up in the bans, immunity, they have the opportunity to go for the Morgana very early on here. Yeah, so they've got a bevy of options. The Janna also available for T-Gun, which is, man, I have no...
Take Callista. That's what I think you need to do.
T-Gun's Janna, though. I just don't understand why I'm talking about that as being a priority.
Are both available, Atlas. You'll get one of them.
True.
Take the Callista.
Well, we'll see whether immunity are going to go for it. Of course, you did mention the fact that Uberbro has had fantastic performances on that champion thus far, and it is going to be hovered and locked in by Ryu, and they've listened to you, Papa Smithy. They're going to go for it. Oh my giddy aunt.
It hasn't been locked in yet, but Swiper has been waiting all season. One of those players who you have to think has a contract with his organization that says 1 Tryndamere game a season. One. And look, you're 2-0 up. I don't know if you take the risk. I think you want the 3-0 when you want to hide as many strategies as you want. Maybe they do have an amazing Tryndamere comp, but this is not the time you show it.
Well, the thing that the Chiefs have been discussing as well is sort of changing up their playstyle, making things a little bit different, maybe having Swiper not on the mega tanks. Look, it's just heard it in the wind, Papa Smithy. It has been drifting on by with the leaves, but I'm not entirely sure whether this one is going to happen. Swiper just likes to have his mouse over that champion, and when there's other high priorities there to be picked up in Lucian Janna, that might be what the Chiefs go for. And Radier, let's talk about Radier's Lucian here for a moment. He played that champion so many times last season.
As every AD carried it.
Yeah, but he sat there in solo queue before uni started and just decimated people on that champion forever.
And Radier is a noted Lucian player. Like you said, Lucian does have a good matchup against Callista, so maybe they're comfortable giving away the Callista, but this could potentially be Callista Morgana, not necessarily as a 2v2 lane, but Callista with a Morgana takes away a lot of those initiation options. We pigeonhole Callista into saying she's a late game carry, so you might think, okay, Papa Smithy said we want to see early game, mid game, why go for a late game champion? True. Callista, when she gets Bloodthirster Hurricane, I don't know about you, but that 2-item cap, not many AD carries can recreate that. Of course, Corki, maybe he has the strongest single item cap, but 2 items, Bloodthirster and Hurricane, go so together well with the Callista. The Ren sets can be strong. You've already got a squishy support and a short-range AD carry, and the Morgana's locked in. It's what I wanted to see, but they're bringing back the Nautilus.
Yeah, Zahi's Nautilus coming out yet again. Didn't actually quite find the success on it the first time around, but the man has a lot of CC, and T-Gun potentially back on the Morgana. They might give it to Cheese here as well. Ryu may take it into the top lane. That might actually be Zahi playing it. Who knows? Morgana pretty flexible. And the Chiefs now able to mix things up continually. We'll see what they decide to go with here as well. They seem to be able to make team comps out of almost anything, and we're talking about different options. Cho'Gath is something that Swiffer hasn't played, which is, it must be getting difficult to find a champion he hasn't played thus far. He's played a lot.
I think, look, he's moved with the meta. Cho'Gath definitely popular as an AP mid champion in China, in Korea, just coming across the scenes. So much safe wave clear and deals with a lot of assassins in the middle. You can't play Ahri against Cho'Gath because you go for all that beautiful dodging of skill shots and he eats you, which is, you know, not the best feeling in the world. They're not going to pick it up, though. They're going for the backline diving. It's Aurelia and Zac again.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Papa Smithy. And, of course, my goodness, the Zac coming through now, 2-0 in the hands of Spooks. And MVP performance from Swiper. Why not put him back on that champion again? And Aurelia is such a safe pick as well.
Absolutely. The safeness is there. It is a carry top laner, but of course is a very tanky initiation dive.
It's not a Tryndamere, unfortunately.
It's not a Tryndamere. So no Tryndamere this game, at least as far as we can tell. Stranger things have happened in the OPL.
That's true.
Immunity considering some final options. Maybe we'll finally see the leash come off and see a real carry top laner, but this is a champion we've kind of been demanding to see. We already mentioned previous to tonight, 5 out of 6 times, they've taken Maokai whenever it was available, even as a first pick. It's got a very good success rate for Ryu. So, I mean, Maokai would add a lot of safety in the top, does very well in a 1v2, probably the most flexible mid-game tank. It's locked in. And Ziggs, Athene's has been buffed, he's been buffed. It wouldn't be that big a surprise to see the return of the Ziggs.
Well, in the hands of Cheese as well, who was just such a notable Ziggs player. He played Orianna, Ziggs, and Swain. He's locked it in now. And back to a comfort pick. Xerath only came in sort of later last season, but it was always those 3 champions sort of his main options to go to, and we'll see whether he's still got it, whether it comes back like riding a bike.
And I really like Ziggs against teams that are excellent rotations, because look, if they get that 6th-man push, if they get that huge minion wave, Ziggs just ults, laughs about it, laughs in general a lot, and delays the game. And if you can get yourself to the late game, that's where Team Immunity shine. They're an excellent late-game team-fighting team, specifically around Uberbro, who looks so good in their wins. He's on Kalista, who can do some big things in the mid-game to late. If they can ensure that the mid-game to late actually comes around after being basically dominated in the first 2 games, this could be the path back to a potential victory, just a return to the series for Immunity. It's not guaranteed at all, but you look at this lineup, there's a lot more mid-game pressure, there's a lot more comfort with the likes of Maokai, Kalista, Morgana. I like what Immunity are doing, and I saw you smile because Swiffer, he was like, all right, you guys really want to control this mid-game. Let's go all in. It's Twisted Fate time.
Yeah, and I'm just imagining a Destiny, so you've got Twisted Fate coming through, and then you've got a Zac landing on top of everyone from nowhere, no one knows how far away. You do. 1300 range, of course, is how far that elastic slingshot is going to take you. But, of course, you can just gank from so many different directions. So the Chiefs able to have a lot of surprise attacks. But Swiffer has 100% of their losses on Twisted Fate.
That's why you pulled out the finger.
Yeah.
Got it up there. 100%. That's the other thing. Only
100%.
one of them. One of them. All one of them.
But still, who knows? This could be the Achilles heel that Immunity can take advantage of. But let's head out to Pastry Time for an interview.
Thank you very much, Alice. I'm here with Choo-Choo's once again, the mid laner for Legacy. And moving into our 3rd game now, I have to say, pretty standard stuff from the Chiefs, picking a lot of the same champions from Game 2.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only real different thing they picked is Twisted Fate, actually. So,
so let's talk about Twisted Fate again, something I know you've played at least a couple of times in your career. What do you think of the pick, especially into Ziggs, who's haven't seen for quite a while?
I think Twisted Fate doesn't do too bad against Ziggs because a lot of Twisted Fates run movement speed quints, and that can really help you deal with the laning poke from all those like bouncing bombs. I also think Swift is an amazing Twisted Fate, and he can definitely get like Rady going or Swiper again like last game. So, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, sad that Chopper's not here, of course, because we have seen Swift as Twisted Fate in action with the help of Spooks ganking a certain top laner. Shout out to Perfection, of course. We're playing in the finals, so we could see again Ryu getting picked on now on the Maokai.
Yeah, I mean, Maokai's really he finds it difficult to get out of ganks because he doesn't have like any dashes or gap closes. He's got his W, but I feel Chiefs, especially Spooks, knows how to punish Ryu, and we might see that again.
Yeah, and even the bottom lane, we saw Spooks taking the Zac again, amazing gank pressure coming through, but adding the Twisted Fate in there, now you've got the extra pressure coming through as well. So I guess my question for you is, as far as early laning goes, Ziggs, very cheap, very efficient wave clear. Can Twisted Fate actually keep up so he can actually leave the lane with his ultimate?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I think Ziggs can actually push in the Twisted Fate, and in order for Twisted Fate to actually roam and get other lanes going with Zac, with Spooks, he can get some like 4-man dives going bot. If Cheese can just constantly push in this Twisted Fate and not allow Swiffer room to actually roam, I think that can really help his teammates.
Yeah, is it something that, I mean, have you played the matchup before? Do you feel like that's something Ziggs can do to Twisted Fate, or is he just going to keep wildcarding and
I haven't played
it in a while?
I haven't done it in a while, man, but I definitely think, I know Cheese is a good Ziggs, and I know Swift is a really good TF, so really, if Cheese can constantly keep this Twisted Fate under pressure, I think he can help his teammates and not allow this Twisted Fate to get these other lanes roaming.
Cool, and maybe the other lane that we have to look at is the bottom lane now. Kalista finally coming through for Immunity, not banned this time around. The first pick in the draft here, going to Uberbro. Great Kalista player, but that's the other lane Swiffer can maybe look at. Do they have the tools to deal with this Kalista, do you think?
Well, Kalista's a very slippery AD carry just because of her passive, but with the lockdown from Twisted Fate, I think they can definitely deal with this like gold cards, and so Kalista can just follow up with so much more damage from his teammates. I mean, I feel like they've really got a good comp to deal with this first pick Kalista.
Yeah, what about momentum here? I mean, you've been in situations, you've definitely been down in best of fives against the Chiefs before.
Yeah.
Is it hard in this situation when you're down 0-2 to pick yourself back up and win the next 3 games?
It's definitely very difficult. Such like a formidable team such as Chiefs. I mean, you're down 0-2. Team Immunity really just need to like reassess, like think about the mistakes they've done the past 2 games and just try and like play their best for this possibly final game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, moving through, there's a lot of comfort picks here for Immunity. Does that matter a lot to you guys? And do you think it matters to Immunity that when you are down to just pick comfort champions and make sure that everything feels good in your, again, possible final game?
Yeah. I mean, a great game to bring up was Winter Regionals last year. Like we all just picked our comfortable champions, and it's actually a great strategy because you feel really good, and you sort of just play your own game. You forget about the score that you're down to, and you just play your own game, and you see how well you can do.
Awesome. Well, we'll see if Immunity can in fact play their own game, because Game 3 versus the Chiefs is about to start.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time and Choo Choos. And yes, of course, Immunity under a whole heck of a lot of pressure now, but the difference is they've got a lot of their comfort champions.
Absolutely. They've got a lot more mid-game presence this time, Atlas, which might serve them well. I think a lot of the responsibility for keeping this Twisted Fate, this last pick Twisted Fate, under wraps goes to Cheese. Of course, on Ziggs, one thing Ziggs has is wave clear. So what he needs to do is wave clear. And that's not all. He needs to get those aggressive wards down, those lane wards, just to make sure that when the Destiny comes through, it's predictable. I mean, in a perfect world, maybe he can throw the satchel charge down and interrupt the charge. But it's probably not going to happen. But just keep Twisted Fate as accountable as possible, because if you take down his turret, if you ensure that his first roam isn't successful, whether it's predictable, whether it's counter-ganked, whatever the situation, you just remove a lot of the power of this Twisted Fate pick.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that if that first Destiny isn't as successful, of course, Twisted Fates often fall off here as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we are into the match. Immunity trying to hold on now against Chiefs in this best of 5, down 2 games, and now looking to use the power of comfort picks to come back into this one.
It took them a long time to get to comfort. The first game they tried something different. I applaud them for that. Then the second game, it was almost a wolf in sheep's clothing. It was a very similar comp that was dismantled in the same way. This time they're back to comfort. They're back to champions that really do well in the mid game. Ryu especially moves back to a champion he's found a lot of success on in his short tenure as a professional player in Oceania. If they're going to do some winning, they have to start it now. And look, at least they've set themselves up with a strong champion select.
Yeah, you've definitely got to start doing some winning now in this stage of a best of 5, because you lose another one and you're definitely out. And that's going to be the Chiefs clean sweeping their way into the grand finals against the Direwolves. But Immunity, they have made moves like this in the past. They can potentially come back. And we'll see whether this is going to be the beginnings of it, because, of course, we could still have a very long night ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen, if Immunity can make it through the onslaught that is the Chiefs, with Swiper back on the Aurelia, his MVP champion, and Spooks on his unstoppable Zac, who is just so scary.
And there's some historical factors that really help out Immunity. It's a statistic we mentioned pre-game, but at this point, previous to this game, you look at Kalista for Uberbro, 2-0 with a 14 KDA, a massive KDA. You know, much higher than his season KDA of around 6, which shows that he's very comfortable with this champion. Has an early power spike with the Bloodthirster into the Hurricane, so hopefully around 20 minutes. And T-Gun, he's on Morgana. You can see he's very comfortable on this.
Yeah, actually has taken the Dark Binding, lands it here as well as the bouncing bomb comes through. The exhaust is down, but Spooks and Swiper, T-Gun forced to flash out of the way. The buddy system in the jungle comes around, and Rosie's here as well. And I thought that was definitely first blood, but not this time. The Chiefs' collapse is too good.
And look, they were jungling on the top side of the jungle, came at a very fortunate time, and now they're doing some counter jungling of their own. It's funny how an excellent situation for Immunity actually works out pretty damn well for the Chiefs.
Yeah, they managed to take away those Raptors. They got a decent leash for it as well, and Spook's now looking to try and land onto T-Gun. There's the Elastic Slingshot, and there's the Blade Surge as well. Rosie comes through. Beautiful Howling Gale, and picks himself up a well-deserved first blood.
Wow, I did not expect, and that's what you get from, of course, having a Zac. You can gank from some unpredictable directions. Chiefs, they turn it on in style, and that's already an advantage for them in this third game.
Yeah, and the three-man room coming up here as well. They might actually find someone here in this brush. Swipe is getting taken down very low. Elastic Slingshot yet again. Zahi gonna have to flash. No flashes to follow this time from the Chiefs, but not quite able to get off that gank brush or immunity.
I mean, remember, that was a level 1 Maokai in the brush. They were hoping for one person. They were hoping for the Chiefs to finally, at 3.5 minutes into the game, separate from each other. But this 4-man group,
No, they're
now 3-man
inseparable.
group. I mean, look, this team, as a lineup, has been together for a long time. And in this match, they're just going for the buddy system, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, and Radier is very lonely in that bottom side of the map. You can
He's
see both
literally
of
the
the
only person in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, exactly right.
He's down under, Atlas.
It's very crowded upstairs, though, ladies and gentlemen, as multiple members of the Chiefs are putting pressure on this outer turret. Uberbro getting shoved in, potentially. T-Gun waiting on the offside, wants to try and land a Dark Binding as Uberbro's trying to get some cheeky auto attacks in. Does land it onto Spooks here, not quite in turret range. Does get stunned up by Zahi as well, as the Black Shield is there, but he can't tank up these minions at level 2. Actually level 3 now, of course. A lot of these creeps are going to now die.
Remember, he does have a revive passive. It's not in too much danger there with Spooks from falling down, even though he was just level 2. All the action on the top side of the map. Lucian just freezing. No reason to enter that lane for the level 2 Maokai. It all shakes out. It looked really good for Immunity after that Dark Binding hit, but Swiffer didn't use either of his summoner spells then. Has used his Ghost subsequently, but still has Flash available.
Yeah, and she's... Oh, bounces over Swiffer. That's a little bit frustrating, but geez, those bouncing bombs are going to continue to be annoying this whole game long. And one thing that we can talk about is the fact that Cheese's farming throughout this series has been brilliant here in the mid lane. He's always been able to keep up with Swiffer, is often ahead as well. So we'll see whether he can continue on now, the sort of quintessential wave clear champion.
And that's why I mentioned Cheese being the one that has to keep Swiffer accountable. He's the best one because he's the one who hasn't shown any drop in performance this series. He's played great. His Swain got going, and just unfortunately his team made some missed rotations and eventually lost in the second game. The Carthus can only do so much in the early game. He needed his team to hold it out to the late game, and it just didn't happen. In this third game, pushing in Twisted Fate as the champion should. So just doing his absolute best to keep Immunity in this series. They need to win this game. They've got the comfort. It was looking good at the start. It's definitely not a massive lead for the Chiefs, but they're doing well.
Yeah, and now Ryu trying to push this wave towards the turret, but it's not going to get there as Rosie throws a cheeky auto attack, and Arcane Smash going to try and do some work to shove this one through. Radier taking a bit of damage from that one as Spook's going to start off this blue buff for Swiffer. T-Gun's waiting in the wings down on that bottom side. Swiffer not quite level 6 just yet, going to get donated that blue. Not too bad there at all, as he's looking to head back to the mid lane and pick up level 6.
Very strangely, Uberbro rotating very early to the bottom lane. Doesn't even have a Bilgewater or anything with a semblance of a big purchase. And it's still a bad lane matchup for Kalista against Lucian. Now, Lucian hasn't shopped, so he does have a small item advantage, but you want to avoid this lane until you get a Bilgewater, a Rika Boat, something to really make the matchup fine. We might see an engage.
Yeah, there's the Black Shield coming down. They've actually engaged onto Rosie here as well as the teleport comes through from Swiper. He's looking to try and get in here. Destiny down as well. T-Gun's going to fall first. There's the gold card. Of course, it's available. Ryu takes so much damage. Going to flash a little bit late there. The Ghost down. The flash red card. Swiffer so comfortable on this Twisted Fate. Gold cards there. Uberbro, he's dead as well, and Swiper picks up that one. 4 early kills now for the Chiefs. We were talking about the early Destiny. Certainly worked for Swiffer.
Yeah, the first Destiny, Feast or Famine, it was certainly an open banquet for the Twisted Fate.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it was actually something you missed. When you said it was a red card, it was actually a blue. He was out of mana even with the blue buff running through. got the kill with the Buka, does the most damage of the 3, and then had enough mana for the second stun. So excellent Twisted Fate mechanics. They'll net a dragon from it as well. And suddenly it's panic stations already for Team Immunity.
Yeah, already 2,500 gold behind. First dragon falls down for the Chiefs, and it wasn't because Immunity weren't playing aggressively. It's not like they were sort of ready to concede this game or anything like that. They made an aggressive move that should have worked, but the Chiefs collapsed. Their control of their map transitional plays and their communication is just too good.
And I love the fact that you shout out communication. They're so often the proactive team. You can just watch this series, even the First Blood, the amazing Zac Elastic Slingshot level 2 initiate to pick up First Blood in the mid. But reactively, their communication, their status as an experienced veteran lineup in this Oceanic scene comes through just because in that situation, Immunity initiated a fight when Twisted Fate was already 6. It was always going to be an outnumbered engage.
Yeah.
Because Twisted Fate could just pop off the bot. There's nothing Cheese can do to stop him, apart from trying to make him accountable by pushing in waves. They went aggressive, and then the reactive Destiny coming through was massive for the Chiefs. And suddenly, it's looking like Struggle Street for Immunity.
Yeah, they do certainly seem to be parked there. We'll see whether they can move the car. Is Radiant going to continue to farm out this wave? Actually, Piercing Light going to land on an Uber Bro. Wow, that BF sword has really buffed up the damage on this Lucian. As just that passive proc and that one ability doing close to half of Uber Bro's health. And they cannot get to this wave. And that Pierce not even able to find the farm.
Which is why you wonder, why did they re-enter this lane? Uber Bro was doing fine in a 1v1 versus Aurelia, getting free farm as you'd expect in an AD carry versus top lane matchup. But he rotated down bottom as that gank was happening with just a Vamp Scepter and a dagger. There was no real impetus to do that. The dragon was not a real consideration. He should have just stayed top till he hit a decent item timing like the Bilgewater, maybe in Toasted with the play.
Oh, there's the knock up. The Let's Bounce to come through. Ryu. Oh my goodness, there was never a world where he was surviving that one.
A Pouncy Castle in top lane sounds like a lot of fun for a Maokai, but didn't look like much fun to me.
Not so much. Mega Inferno Bomb actually going to do a whole lot of work to Swiffer here, who's trying to dance out of the way of these ones, but it's not going to get there. Dredgeline not going to find it. Cheese, the flash bouncing bomb, and that's the 1v1 in the mid lane. Zahi didn't even get an assist.
And that could frustrate with a solo kill from Cheese. It's been a bit of a solo show for Cheese this whole series, and he just caps it off with a solo kill on Chief Swiffer.
Yeah, really nicely played. Swiffer was just sort of wandering around there, as you saw. It was an interesting play, as the Chiefs going to be able to take down this one. Fate's Call in the bottom lane, though. Zahi's coming in. There's the ultimate to come through from him as well, and lands the stun to Rosie, but Radiant going so aggressive. Actually just flat out kills Uber Bro there on the offside as T-Gun. He's going to take a bit of damage. Dark Bunny going to find a minion. Zahi in so much trouble now as well. Piercing Light, and Radiant picks up a second kill in a 2v3.
You cannot focus a support when the enemy AD carry has such a big item advantage. BF Sword compared to what was just the dagger and Vampiric Scepter. The target focus in the 3v2 was appalling from Immunity, and that just pads the stats of Radiant.
Yeah, 2-0-2 now on this. Lucian has a gigantic CS lead, 50 CS ahead at 10 minutes into this game.
And it didn't need to be that way, Atlas. They did not need to swap back. There was no impetus. It's Maokai. He can range farm. He can try to push. He was getting levels. He was doing just fine, but they engineered a gank they lost, and the ganks are on.
Yeah, it's on yet again here, as well as Spooks still has the passive, as well as Swift is going to pick up the aggro. This inner turret also going to go down, and Ryu, I mean, this is his most successful champion historically, but not so much this game, as Spook's just going to slingshot his way out of it, and I don't think this is going to deter the Chiefs at all. I mean, they can just take this inner turret, and there's not a whole lot Immunity can do. T-Gun's going back, but there's no one else there.
And the next time we get a chance to interview the Chiefs, someone needs to ask them the burning question on everyone's minds. What do they have against top laners?
Or what did they have for breakfast this morning?
Though the Wheat Bix certainly will be the answer there,
yeah.
Atlas. But the top laners, whether it's Perfection, whether it's Ryu, they love targeting out these top laners. Swiper's already pretty damn good at the top lane, but when Twisted Fate and everyone else, Zac comes with a bounce party, everyone's always top. It just helps Swiper look like a beast.
Yeah, and Swiffer somehow managed to dodge those two skill shots completely blind.
Aurelia is 4-0-2, and with 69 CS has a Trinity Force at 11 minutes.
Yeah, 12 minutes into the game. That is absolutely ridiculous. As now it's a 7,000 gold lead at 12 minutes.
We say that term a lot, but 69 CS for a Trinity Force, that is ridiculous.
That is. And that is also 75% kill participation for a top laner pre-20 minutes as well, which is also a little bit ludicrous.
Zahi's on the Nautilus. He has gank pressure. I mean, Zahi does one thing. He walks into lane and will knock someone up for a long time. He needs his lanes to do damage, but there's just no items across the board to do any damage. Of course, Maokai in a 1v2 just, has the Doran's Rings, going to work towards a Catalyst. Athene's finally committed, but of course that's for mana sustain and, working towards the big AP item. Kallista's got nothing to show whatsoever, and that's Trinity Force Infinity Edge completed on the other side.
Yep, Darkbinding going to find Swiper here as well, as they're trying to get some damage down onto this top outer turret with 3 members, but Swiper seems to be more than enough to defend that one. And Swiffer now with free time in this mid lane. Free time for the other 3 members of the Chiefs there on the bottom side. Swiper not afraid of anyone, as Spooks is going to come round. Cheese takes some wild cards, but successfully navigates the gank from Spooks. And 10 seconds now until Dragon. And with Zahi towards the top side, you have to think this could be another one for the Chiefs, as the inner turret looks to be the aim right now.
Absolutely. And Aurelia once again finds herself in a situation where no one can enter lane against her. Far too many items too early. Ryu on a much more favorable matchup with the Maokai. Can't do anything as the teleport's coming through.
Yeah, there's the ultimate used onto Swiffer here as well. As Swiper comes through. There's the flash into the gold card. Oh my goodness. Swiper just blade surging Cheese to death there as well. Actually, the double flashes used from those solo laners. The outer turret going to fall down. Chiefs easy transition into a Dragon here as well. Darkbinding not going to even find Swiper. He's a little bit too quick now with that Trinity Force.
Easy transition to whatever they want. Atlas can't quite finish the game too early for that. But everything is open to them. Whether they want more kills, whether they want Dragon, second Dragon, they're not going to have time to pick up a 5th Dragon, you have to think. There's just no ace in the hole coming through from Immunity. Okay, no Caitlyn on the map.
I know, pick
as I knew you were going to talk about.
Yeah.
But the other
I'm getting predictable.
The situation is like Ziggs's ult is not on a short enough cooldown to clear the side waves that are being built up by Aurelia, who no one can enter lane against, by Lucian, who has Infinity Edge, and Azir working towards a Phantom Dancer against basically nothing coming out from Uberbro.
Yeah.
There's just nothing they can do. Only Cheese can stay in lane, and there's only so much one little Yordle can do.
Yeah, and I mean, comparing the AD carries, I mean, I'm very frightened to tab over to the gold here as well, because you can see Radier is at 6.4 thousand to the 4,000 of Uberbro. That is disgusting.
And look, he does have the gold for BF sword, but to say it's too little, too late is unfortunately just the story of Immunity today. They've tried something different. They went for this mid-game comp, but all the momentum was with Chiefs after those first 2 games. And there's just nothing they can do. Uberbro is going to find an Aurelia.
Yeah, and look at that Sheen proc. That is outstanding damage as the Destiny comes through as well. Uberbro doesn't quite manage the pierce over the edge. And the Blade Surge just going to be another reset for Swiper.
And look, he needs farm. He needs to keep pushing these waves. You can't blame him for being in that situation just outside his inner turret because he needs it.
Yeah, there's the Let's Bounce actually popped immediately as T-Gun now going to have to deal with Spooks as well. Rosie gets the slowdown. Swiffer's here. Wildcards picks up the support as Cheese and Zahi now have to try and defend this mid lane, but it's at the moment Chiefs just taking whatever they want.
And Control Mage's coming back into the meta. You might think was a nerf to Swiffer with his love for the LeBlanc. So many MVPs on that champion so far during the OPL, but he plays the Control Mages like Twisted Fate pretty good. And who's good in this meta but Twisted Fate and Orianna? And they both looked wonderful today in the semifinals.
Yeah, Swiffer has certainly looked like he's had a great series as far as being comfortable on his champions, and we know that he's more than happy to do some interesting things on the Twisted Fate. As Radier, he's finally going to potentially fall down. Rosie actually able to save his life here just for the moment, trying to turn it around. There's the culling run to the face of Radier. Radier turns it. No idea how he survived, and it might have something to do with having a bajillion items. Another shield to come through from Rosie. Zahi, taking so much damage. The piercing light picks it up with just the tip.
Did you know it had that much range?
I do now. This I learnt today, Papa Smithy, but Radier, that is what happens when you play 4 bajillion games on Lucian. He is so, so good. But that turn, that shouldn't have happened.
I think we need to standardize that terminology. A bajillion's more than what? A zillion?
I don't know. Who comes after Zillion? Zyra? Maybe it's more than a Zyra.
More than a Zyra, roger.
Not entirely sure. Swiper actually finding some resets here as well, as there's the Fate's Call to save T-Gun after the exhaust comes through. Spooks sort of just hanging out towards his bottom side. He's pretty small. as the Destiny has been popped. Not entirely sure why. TF has come round out the backside, and that's just going to mean
donation coming through from Swiffer.
Yep, a little bit dead. That's fine. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence there, as Uberbro is now going to continue clearing out this bottom wave, unhindered by the potential mid laner.
I mean, look, Immunity need time to find farms. Swiffer donating a kill gives them time.
This is also what happened against Fortnite, okay? Swiffer picked the TF. They were ahead by an incredibly large amount of gold.
They were.
By, you know, about this stage of the game, and then they lost.
I don't think it was 10,000 gold at 17 minutes.
Well,
and I don't think they had
semantics.
a 602 Aurelia with Trinity Force, Merc Treads, and a Giant Spell. They could send 3 members at that Aurelia, and it'd be a triple kill.
All right, well... yeah, well, they sent 3 members against Radiant, and it's a triple kill as well. And that probably shouldn't be how that works. Of course, Rosie was there with some impeccable shields as well. Radiant now has that Static Shiv at the same time. Almost has the Berserker's Greaves completed as well. This is a 2-item Lucian by 18.5 minutes into the game. Ryu probably shouldn't be anywhere near this lane. As what the hell was that crit?
Here comes the flank.
Yeah, and T-Gun, you're dead. So dead. As Radiant's just going to throw out the culling because he wants to. Not entirely sure why. Just wanted to press the button. Maybe he was expecting a surrender at 18.5 minutes. I'm not entirely sure, but the ult came through, and Radius sent the message effectively.
And Spooks finds a pick. Here comes Twisted Fate.
Yep, Uberbro, he's going to get taken very, very low, but there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Swiffer dies first. Uberbro trying to dance around this one. There is life in this immunity lineup yet, but Ryu is going to fall down on that top side, and this inhibitor turret is now under a lot of fire. And the bottom lane of the Chiefs have just given up on this crazy shenanigans that Swiffer and Spooks have been up to, and they're just going to take down the base of Immunity. And possibly even 4 members at once, as there's the ultimate to come through from Zahi. He's very tanky at this stage, but the rest of Immunity have to deal with the backline Swiper, who is shredding them apart. That was ridiculous. Off the screen, of course, ladies and gentlemen, but you have an idea of what happened. That was Swiper launching himself into the face of Immunity.
Choose your own adventure. That's how it is with Chiefs at the moment. They can do whatever they want. I mean, Twisted Fate, he's been dying a bit. He's the only one that's really been punished, but Swiper in particular, with all the tank stats and the Trinity Force, can just wreck the backline of Immunity.
Just insane. 8-0-3, a legendary performance before 20 minutes here as well. 18-3 is the score. 13,000 gold lead at 20 minutes into the game. If Chiefs have looked better than this, I don't know when that was.
And look, what a great time to hit top form. It's, of course, the last match, at least as far as we can see at 20 minutes, before they step into the grand finals against Direwolves. Impressive yesterday, but they're going to have to be worried with the Chiefs in just wonderful form. And patch 5.6, they look pretty good on the previous patches, but this one might be the best fit yet.
Yeah, and I just want to have a glance outside, of course, Chuffer here with us today. And he's probably shaking in his boots just a little bit watching this game because the Chiefs just looking so frightening, and we'll see whether the Direwolves do have enough to try and bring it to them, because what Immunity's decisions were as far as that pick and ban phase went, it wasn't exactly what was going to help them here against the Chiefs. And there is, of course, no vision on that Dragon, mostly because I don't think Immunity are allowed to leave their base.
No, I mean, they can, and they need to just pick up gold. There is always that potential of hitting certain item timings, but the timings have been so far delayed. We finally see the Rod of Ages coming through from Maokai about 18 minutes in. Don't know if this game will last long enough, at least judging by the last 2 games, for him to complete the 10 stacks on that item. Twisted Fate has that. Zhonya's very much needs it because he keeps dying, so the stasis might be useful. The item timings across. It's just scary. Look at Radius. Got another BS, so he's ready for some more damage.
Oh, yeah. He's got a heck of a lot of damage now. Went back, finished the Berserker's Greaves, got a longsword, got a BS sword.
He's fighting at the bottom.
No worries. Oh, he's actually taken a whole lot of damage here as well, but she's just gonna die as Radiant gonna tank up the turret as well. There's the Monsoon just to keep him healthy. Uberbro so incredibly low as Spooks trying to play that frontline role. Zahi with a huge black shield. He's going to be able to take that one down. But you can see the super creep so difficult to deal with this early into the game. And there's a Swiper there as well, who no one wants to go anywhere near.
No, at least they are understanding his item timers and respecting him. He's far too strong for them to deal with. But he's getting free push at the top. That opens up the bottom. They also take that down and go towards this inevitable win.
Yeah, Spook's actually going to be throwing through the elastic slingshot. Ryu Going to be forced
Very
to
nice
flash.
there, actually. Used his Twisted Advance to de-aggro from the potential kill coming through from
Yeah.
the Transcendent Blade. So stays alive that time. Good Maokai mechanics, as we would have expected from him.
Yeah, T-Gun actually going to flash Soul Shackle's Swiper for a unique tactic. Spook's going to flash out of the way of a bouncing bomb as well. Mega Inferno Bomb going to come down and get a bit of extra damage down. Cheese actually doing some work here. Has a death cap built up, but he's got a lot to clear out of the way as Zahi now forced to use that flash. Gets knocked up here at the same time as the wildcards are streaming through. That is 3 inhibitors down. 23 minutes into the game, ladies and gentlemen. 15,000 gold the lead for the Chiefs, and they're going to go back.
Yeah, 4 members with over 1,000 gold. Radiant with over 2,000 gold. The Super Minions are going to take 5 members and a heroic effect. Swiffer decides to die again.
Yeah, no, he's good at that, though. You know, he's like 100% of the team's deaths. My goodness, I think they're going to be having a chat to him after this game.
He always wants to be first in something. He saw the 8 kills coming through from Aurelia. This is the best statistic he could go for.
Yeah, that is true. That is most definitely true. But look, I don't think Swiffer feeding a little bit is actually going to help hurt the hopes of the Chiefs this game. Because if you have a look at that AD carry in Radiant and the top lane of Swiper, I think that they can carry it.
I mean, 3-item Radiant. Now the Mikael's completed for Jana. They're going to rush down the Baron. I don't know if Immunity have been outside their base in the last 5 minutes, so they're definitely not going to be able to contest this objective. Swiffer decided not to use Zonia's last time, so that'll be available for the next fight.
Yeah, but if you think about, like, walking towards that Baron pit, it's like, you know, having to walk through, like, the Forbidden Forest of Doom or something like that. Something very ominous and scary because, of course, the Chiefs just so much control over every ounce of the base.
I mean, it sounds like a very scary forest between being forbidden to go there and the Doom that it
Yeah,
can be.
there's Doom and you're forbidden. It's just ridiculous. But there are multiple super creeps heading towards the base. A Baron buff here as well. Immunity trying to go for a last stand. The last bounce comes through. Destiny comes in. Swiffer almost dies instantly. Ryu's going to fall as Radiant becomes legendary. Swiffer somehow not dead as T-Gun's going to fall to him. And Uber Bro, Radiant just with so much damage. But the Nexus gets pulverized by the super creeps. And man, the Chiefs looking so good.
And the scary thing, Atlas, it was a fairly one-sided first game.
What scary thing? There's 1,000 scary things.
There were a couple of moments in the first game where you thought Immunity might get back into it. The games are just getting shorter. That last game only just over 23 minutes. The scary thing, Atlas, to compound, as you mentioned, all the small things in the games, is that they're getting better over that series. And they looked pretty damn good before.
Yeah, but let's have a look at a replay just to demonstrate how this one worked out. And this is a brilliant turnaround by the Chiefs.
There's a lot to talk about in this situation. Remember, this is Ryu and T-Gun. They'd sat in the lane and basically sat in the brush for a couple of minutes because they were looking for a gank. They engineered a situation previously where the lane swap was on, Uberbro was pushing in the top lane against this Aurelia, getting free farm. Now he swapped with just a Vamp Scepter and a Dagger. That's not going to really help him in a matchup against especially Radiant on the Lucian, because Lucian's a good laning matchup against Callista at the worst of times. It does very well on that lane. So I have to think they were looking for a gank situation. This is all aggressive moves coming through from Unity. It wasn't necessary. The Callista could have got free farm, come with most of a Blade of the Ruined King, and then fought, but didn't. And so they rolled the tape. We're starting this all up. Radiant's looking to just push out. He's got the...
He's level 6.
Doran Blade. He's level 6. He uses his ult, but again, this is all initiated. There's no way for Ziggs to stop Swiffer, and you can see on your minimap, he's already coming through. Destiny has popped, and the kills just start coming. They've already taken out Morgana in this situation. This was all engineered by a swap that wasn't necessary. That's the big thing. The flash blue card to get the refresh on mana was majestic Twisted Fate plays, able to bring this champion back into the meta. Then the second gold card comes through. Again, they outfought Team Immunity, but Team Immunity bit off more than they could chew. They didn't need to go for that engage. They could have just got free farm on the Callista, get her close to the 2-item spike that would have helped them in the mid game. They went for the aggressive move and it did not pay off.
No, it certainly didn't. And when you've got the two people ganking the support who's level 3, they only combined equaled the level of Radio, who had solo farm in that bottom lane. Level 3s, what are they going to do against the level 6 Lucian, who just does so much work here as well?
And that's the thing. Although he only had a Doran Blade, you get so many stats effectively, gold stats of getting level ups, that he still had more items than that Callista when she entered lane. And you saw the power he could put out.
Yeah, but that's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's throw it back to pastry time.
Thank you very much, Atlas and Papa Smithy. And what an amazing series there, but a very dominant performance overall by the Chiefs and a well-deserved win as they'll move into their final up against the Dials. A strong showing from Immunity, but in the end, can't quite get it done. But here, of course, we have our results for the day. The Dials versus Legacy yesterday, 3-1 win there for the Wolves. And Chiefs versus Immunity today, 3-0, which means we have a very, very awesome-looking grand final coming up. So, again, great performances all around. And you know what? Let's check you in that grand final. There it is, our first ever OPL Split 1 final. The Dire Wolves are going to be taking on the Chiefs, second versus first. And you know what? After a fantastic OPL season, I don't think we'd have it any other way. But with that, we are done. Don't forget, next Thursday will be our grand final. But for myself, Atlas, Papa Smithy, and a big thank you to Chopper and Choo Choos for joining us as well. We'll see you next Thursday for the